WWE are possibly scrapping a championship. We'll get into it in a moment. Plus, Jeff Hardy is a beat-up mess in AEW, and a major indie title could be about to be vacated. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Like a loss prevention officer at Matalan, we need to talk about the missing belts.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
That's good.
The women's tag team titles. We haven't seen them since we last saw Sasha Banks and Naomi. They left them with Joran Laurinaitis, who became the interim champion. What's going on, Jack?
Yeah, well, first, I believe it was WrestlingNews.co who reported that there was going to be a tag team tournament to replace the champions since they were made to vacate the belts. But, and then I believe they even officially announced that. I think Michael Cole said it on SmackDown as well.
Yes, they did. And then there was some names leaked by Wrestling News as well who could potentially be in that tournament.
Then Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio has given an update saying the women's tag team tournament is dead now.
No.
He said they had an idea for 4 women's teams. It was pitched but was never signed off on as of like a week ago. Now I have no idea what's going on. It's like not a word.
I can't say I'm massively surprised if the women's tag team title just gets a bit forgotten.
Is this just the thing that they go, right, it's gone now? It's weird, but after introducing women's tag team titles, they started to really get rid of tag teams across both divisions, but especially in the women's division.
So I find that any time they're emphasizing the tag team titles is when there are no tag teams.
Yeah,
it's a strange one. Maybe it's a case of, I mean, certainly for now there were no plans for it. I mean, we go back to those conversations about Sasha Banks and Naomi and how they were planned to be competing for the Raw and SmackDown women's titles respectively at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And then after that, there were no plans for the women's tag team titles. So I can't imagine they're in a mad rush to do anything with them currently if they've got stuff already, all their ducks in a row for what's coming up. Yeah. So we may not see anything about that for quite a while.
It's just a shame after seeing what it meant to quite a few women in that division, because they seemed really passionate about trying to not only boost the status of tag team wrestling, but specifically women's tag team wrestling as well. Sasha and Bayley were very passionate about it. Naomi also seemed very passionate about it. And now it looks like WWE have gone,
Yeah, I think there were so many opportunities to really make them shine. I mean, the ones that stick out to me was when Sasha Banks and Bayley had them.
Yes.
Their phenomenal run in 2020 where they were just on Raw, SmackDown, NXT every week, putting on bangers and defending them. I thought they were great there. I think the Iconics, whilst they were never defending them, they had fun with those belts as champions. Sasha Banks and Naomi were looking to rekindle that fire as well, and that's a big part of the reason why we had the walkout was that frustration over a lack of creative. So I can't imagine that WWE, when WWE had no plans for the titles when they were in circulation, I imagine they have even less plans now that they are not.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can't. And we sat here last week. I don't know if it was me and Adam. We sat here and we just kind of tried to conjure up a list of people who could potentially compete for the titles, and it's
not easy.
It's slim pickings, which I believe was the restaurant that Chandler went to in Friends, as well as the status of the women's tag division. Jeff Hardy related news. Let's go to AEW tonight. Dynamite EE comes out of the LA Forum. Jeff Hardy won't be competing, and it looks like it's injury. It's definitely injury related. That's been confirmed on Twitter. But Jeff's in a bad way, isn't he, Jack?
He is. We noticed this. Quite a few people watching Double or Nothing, we were remarking, something looks wrong with Jeff. He was down a lot. He was talking to the referee. He was one of his boots seemed to be giving him trouble at some point as well. He was slipping when he was trying to climb to the top rope. It was an uncomfortable watch. And then he got it together towards the end of the match. Maybe once the adrenaline got flowing a bit, I suppose. But Dave Meltzer has given an update on this, saying Jeff was a mess going into the match. From what I was told, it was really the Darby Allin match that was responsible for his beaten up state, because that was a hard-hitting, no DQ match. He said he's beat up. The one thing is, when he went to AEW, he came in and said, I don't want to say blazing, but you can watch those highlight films and you see he jumped from that ladder through a table. Meltzer's basically saying he came in looking to do high-octane stuff, as Jeff Hardy does. He goes on to say he's done some big stunts at his age and he's paying for it now.
He came in white hot, and I wonder why. I'm surprised that a guy like Jeff Hardy is so banged up after a swanton through some chairs last week. He's not a spring chicken either.
He's not. Well, it was Darby who did the swanton, but Jeff was catching him onto the chair. Yeah. I mean, And then he did the swanton onto the edge of the steps, and
yeah, it was it was a tough old fight, and Jeff's paying for it now. Jeff, as we know, has been removed from tonight's 10-man tag, as is Adam Cole. Tony Khan on Twitter citing injuries to both parties, but they've been allowed to pick their respective replacements. So how's that shaping up?
Darby Allin is replacing Jeff Hardy, which makes sense thematically, I think. And Hikuleo of the Bullet Club for life is replacing Adam Cole, because they've got Bullet Club affiliations there, so that also makes sense.
That works quite nicely. Yeah. That should be a banger.
I think it should be. I'm not sure who's going to win or what the purpose of it is driving the storyline forwards, but I guess we'll see.
Just a big 10-man shenanigan. Yes. A war of attrition. Now, Jeff Hardy, whilst isn't wrestling this week, he is performing this week. You'll get to see him at the world-famous Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset Boulevard tomorrow night. He and his band Peroxygen. Peroxygen.
It's like peroxygen, but with a Y. Peroxygen.
Peroxygen.
Yeah.
You say after I think near the end of most Cultaholic Christmas parties. Why, Jen? And Frankie Kazarian and his band Gutter Candy.
Oh yeah, they sound like my kind of band. Yeah. Go on.
Well, get yourself down to the Whiskey A Go-Go. Just 500 tickets available.
Let's go.
That one. Let's go now.
Let's go.
I'm sure it's the Jubilee. The Queen won't mind.
No.
I'll come with you.
The borders are locked. We're not allowed out of the country.
I want to sing Focus at the Top. What's this song?
Modest at the
top. What has been modest at the top for 90,000 years?
I thought you were digging into Peroxygen's back catalogue, so I just laughed along.
Yeah.
I know that song.
Great times. Let's look to In Your House, which is on Saturday, because there's not enough wrestling happening this week. We've had another match added to that show. Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde will face in a trios match Tony D'Angelo,
Stacks, and Two Dimes, his boys. I love them. Do
you love the stip?
So yes, if you haven't heard, the stipulation is that the losing team is kind of absorbed by the winning team. Like they join the family of the winners. They agreed this last night on NXT during a tense meeting on Santos Escobar's yacht. Oh yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Who do you think is joining which team?
Just from the tone of the promo segment, it felt like Santos was really cocky and confident, but it felt like Tony was holding something back, and he might actually come out on top. So if I was a betting man, I'd go for Tony, but it could really go either way.
I love that we did 9 pitches last week for Double or Nothing, and we saw 2 factions joining up.
Yes.
We did predictions for Hell in a 9 pitches for Hell in a Cell yesterday.
Yep.
You did 2 factions joining up. What's happening on NXT?
WWE have gone, we'll have a bit of that. 2 factions joining up, although I can see it becoming more of a, like when Cena was in the Nexus. I think there's going to be a lot of dissent once it happens.
Oh yes, dissension.
Yes.
Final card for In Your House on Saturday. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, the only women's tag champions in NXT in WWE as a whole, will defend against Katana Chance and Caden Carter. Pretty Deadly face the Creed brothers for the NXT men's tag titles. If the Creed brothers lose, by the way, as of last night, they're out of the diamond mine.
Get out.
Get yourself out of the mine. Go wash your hands. They're closing the mine.
Yeah, Roderick Thatcher strong.
The North American title is defended. Cameron Grimes putting it up against Carmelo Hayes.
Yes.
Mandy Rose defends the women's title against Wendy Chu.
I'm sick of Wendy and her shenanigans. She spat a spitball at her like a teenager in McDonald's this week.
You're only saying that because Jack Atkins isn't here today.
Jack Atkins loves Wendy Chu.
He does. The rambunctious Jackie Orlando will be livid when he hears you slagging off Wendy Chu. And the main event, it's Bron Breakker versus Joe Gacy. Breakker can lose the title via disqualification.
Will his anger get the better of him? Will it get the better of him? We'll find out.
Gotta stay calm in that one, otherwise it could all go wrong. Went a little bit wrong for Matt Cardona, and we could potentially see a major indie title vacated because of it. What's going on, Jack?
He tweeted an update saying, got an MRI today, bicep is torn, surgery needed, will unfortunately need to cancel some dates. Now, since that news is broke, people have been saying online and stuff that I don't personally know about it, but apparently a torn bicep can take 5 to 12 months to recover from.
Yeah.
So just from even the minimum being maybe about 5 months, you'd expect that he'd probably have to vacate the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
He is set to defend it on June the 11th at a show, at the NWA show, Always Ready, which is named after him, unfortunately.
Do you think I guess it depends how close it is to his surgery, but do you think he'll make an appearance even, maybe?
I'd like to think that he could at least pop up and cut a wonderful promo. give some grief to whoever's in that main event.
True.
Whoever Nick Aldis ends up facing with the world title on the line. If they end up vacating. Now, at this point, again, time recording, they've not vacated the title.
Yeah.
No update so far, but keep an eye on that one. It would not be surprising if we end up having a vacated NWA World title.
Yeah.
And also, not just that, but probably a whole bunch of other promotions are now scrambling because Cardona had a lot of belts.
Yeah, he was all over the place. It's a shame. It's a real shame for him because he was really entering, or was in the midst of really a career renaissance. And it is a shame to see, but hopefully he has a speedy recovery or as quick as possible.
Speediest of recoveries to Matt Cardona. All the best to you. More wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.